Okay, I want to give you guys a quick shop update, show you some snippets of what's been going on in the shop over the last, I don't know, three or 4 weeks. Starting with this slab right here. This is a giant pecan slab that I've been very excited to break open and start working with. It's 10 feet long by about 43 to 44 inches wide. And you might be wondering now why we're cutting it down to a shorter length. That's because we're going to make the table we're making is 84 inches long. So we're going to use the drop off to make the uprights for this trestle table. So this is, if you've been with me for a while, I built a table for the Chosen TV series, really cool table last year. And this is a very similar table, but pretty much the same table out of Texas pecan. A client saw it and just really wanted it, which is awesome. And I've just been really fired up to build this table because of the material we're getting to work with. This is, Texas pecan is an awesome material, and it's not so often you get to work with big giant slabs and get all the parts out of that one slab. So this is going to turn out to be a really beautiful table. Robert is working on processing this slab down. He's going to take off the live edges. We don't want those. The client doesn't want live edge. Plus, it's a little bit too wide for what we want proportionally. So we're going to take it down to about 40, I think we're about 41 inches. Leave a little bit of sap in there, still give it that kind of slab character. And it's just an impressive piece. The fact that this tabletop is one entire piece of wood, that's, pretty uncommon. So it's going to be quite the showstopper. So we'll go through the process of filling all the cracks and voids with epoxy, with tinted black, and then we take it to the wide belt sander. So this is probably one of my most useful machines in the shop. It surfaces tabletops. It also sands all the parts for furniture. And so we start this on a 60 grit sandpaper, and this is a 43-inch wide capacity sander, so our table just barely fits through there. So we're having to take this, just really small cuts. We're talking about 10,000ths or less on each pass. So it's not a super fast process. The good thing is we got this slab from Burdall Sawmill. It's already milled and surfaced, so it's a minimal amount of work here because it's already flat to begin with. So with this machine, we'll go 60 grit, then 80 grit, 120, and 150. This is a pretty basic wide belt sander. You can get them where they have multiple heads inside, so you can have an 80 grit, a 120, and a 150 grit all in one pass, which is pretty cool. We've only got a single head here, so every time we finish a grit, we'll sand one side, flip it, sand the other. We'll pull that grit off, stop the sander, pull the grit off, put the next grit on, fire back, sander back up, and then just keep going through that process. So it takes a little time, but in the grand scheme of things, it saves you a lot of time because the alternative is taking an orbital and just sitting there by hand and sanding it that way, which is doable, but a couple things is you're not going to get the surfacing quality, you're not going to get it flattened, and it's just going to take a lot longer. So I want to share with you a little tease. I'm not going to be doing a build video on this table, but I am going to focus in and do a video on the joinery because we did some really cool joinery, some double mortise and tenons that actually are kind of like breadboard ends. They float, so we pin the middle one and the outside ones can float and move. You can see those tenons right here as I'm shaping those to fit. Also a very large through mortise and tenon, a 7-inch long tenon that goes through the upright. You see that right here as I'm test fitting that. Really cool joint there, really hard to execute because you're dealing with big thick parts and really hard material. And then a really cool wedge that wedges that joint together. So I think it's going to be cool joiner to show you guys. I think you'll enjoy it. So that's a little tease to what that's going to be. All right, I didn't want to leave y'all hanging. I got to show you the table. We're just about ready to put finish on this. This is at 220 grit. It's all just about filled. We got a little bit of edge work to do. I think it's at 220. Robert's been working on this, so he would know. But this is going to need to get rounded over here. And then we've got all these little holes we've been filling. So we filled these, and we just got a ton of little holes, right? Little bubbles that popped and holes in the epoxy that we needed to get filled. I didn't really know how to do that, so I reached out to the epoxy expert, John Malecki, sent him a text, and he recommended I use a syringe with epoxy in it to just pop epoxy in all these little holes. And so that's what Robert's been up to, and it looks like he's just about got it done. I think this could get, a final sanding, and we could put finish on this and call it. So I wanted to show you guys that. This is just absolutely beautiful. Come down here to this corner, and it has this amazing kind of figure in it that I cannot wait to put finish on. I'm super excited. This is a really awesome corner. They're kind of like mirror each other. So you have a really cool corner there, and you come around here and you get kind of the same effect, this highly figured corner. So now the joinery, all that, we're going to do a separate video. I already talked about, but the base is right here. Got to kind of show you that real quick. I mean, I can't let you not see it. It's so cool looking. I love the way this pecan came out. You know, we've got matching grain because we were able to take it out of the slab. So you have this nice kind of riff grain with a little sap in it on both of these. And then that center stretcher has a really cool dark spot in it. So, man, it's cool. I cannot wait to get finished on this and get it delivered to the client because I absolutely know they're going to love it. And you guys stay tuned because we're going to go over how we cut all this cool joinery in another video. Christmas music on.
Strike.
Like they'll, if you play copyright music in the background, they'll give you. So we've got another cannon pattern to make. This is a 6-pounder. If you're interested in the whole process, I've got a 4-pounder I did. I'll link that video. First thing we got to do is prep the blank. So we're going to octagon it on my bandsaw. I have a little trouble here getting that table to tilt because it's actually hitting the door. I always forget you have to open the bottom door on this bandsaw. The doors are not the original doors that came with the saw, so it gets in the way of the table tilting. We set a fence, and then we're just going to basically cut off all the corners on this big blank.
Andy Rawls, spot on.
Got it? All right.
Yeah. Want to just do it?
Yeah, I think we should. Drop everything on the ground. Okay, I'm going to turn it on. You got it?
Yeah.
You can probably, I think it'll ride fine.
Yeah, no, I'm just going to hang out though.
Yeah. So a few things about this machine. It is an Oliver bandsaw. It was built in 1925. If you are, aren't familiar with it, are new to the channel, I bought this for $500 bucks and found it in a carport in Comfort, Texas, and that was, I don't know, that was 4 years ago, and completely restored it, filmed the whole thing on this channel, and it's just an amazing piece of equipment. It's amazing how well it works. Super powerful, cuts straight, cuts true, resaws like a dream, and it's just an awesome machine to have in the shop. So it's a lot of fun. Probably my favorite by far. Watch your hand. All right, we good?
I'd rather crush my hand than touch the blade.
Yes. Your hand will cut in half.
It'll grow back. No, it doesn't. Good.
Okay, so once it's up on the lathe, I do a little bit more work. I take my jack plane and just kind of knock off more of those edges. I think the more work you can do on a blank this size, more prep work, the better. It's a little bit safer to turn. It goes a little bit quicker with the gouge. So I'm just using my jack plane to kind of take some more of those sharp edges off. And as I'm looking here, I feel a little uncomfortable with how it's mounting. To me, it seemed a little off center.
I was going to say, can you set, just do it this way and then.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. Okay. Should help quite a bit.
So we recentered everything and mounted it back up on the lathe. And this is actually kind of funny here because, I can ramp the speed up to this, so I can start it pretty slow and then pick it up until the blank is where I need it to be. Now Robert wasn't aware of that, and he was a little bit unsure of all this. It's a big heavy blank, and in his mind I think he thinks it's just going to come flying off, which it could, but I think I got it secured pretty well. So Robert just totally bails. I didn't even realize it until I watched this footage. It's kind of hilarious. He walks back, gets plenty of space, actually tries to hide behind the table, which I think he was kind of joking, but I'm going to give him a hard time about that.
Slow, right?
It's a variable speed lathe, so I can turn it on super slow and just slowly crank up the speed until it's at a sweet spot. Once the lathe starts vibrating, you need to slow it down, and that's kind of where you go.
You don't want to go too fast, right?
For the cut?
Just get it off. Okay, and so magically we now have the pattern. You know, I'm not going through a full video on this. If you want to see how that's all done, you can go watch the other one. One thing we do need to do now is take it off and bore holes on each end. Obviously this is 2-section piece, so the other section I turn needs to be doweled on. So we're going to bore a hole in the end of it. And then the other side of that pattern, there's a cascabel that goes on there, and that as well gets doweled on. So we're going to put it back up on the lathe. I got a 5/8 brad point bit, and I've got a horrible angle here, but basically Robert's cranking the tailstock and just driving that blank into the brad point bit. Okay, so there it is off the lathe. Had a little issue, a little mistake there. We had to fill it with some Bondo, but other than that, it came out nice. All these little profiles. The way that I do this is, one second, there, that's what I'm looking for. We use, so these cannons are scanned with a 3D scanner that my buddy actually does. It has a point cloud and all kinds of fancy stuff that's over my head, but I can take that 3D image, put it into SketchUp. I can scale it. It would be a lot better if I knew how to use Fusion 360 because it could actually create a 3D image of it right off the point cloud, but I haven't quite figured all that out. But it's a cool process nonetheless because I can take his scan, put it in SketchUp, and then make a, take it over to the CNC and CNC out a pattern of the actual cannon that I can then scale off of as I turn it. So you can see here, this is kind of the profiles on my pattern, and as you go up, each profile's on the turning, and I use a little caliper, to scale the diameters I need. This is the last section we're gonna do. Hey, bud. Bye-bye. Hey, okay, bye. You just saying hi? Yeah. All right, bud. See you later. So this is the. See you later. This is the. What was I saying? Yeah. This is the front section, so it connects right there. So I still got to turn that, but let me show you this. I've started using. We have a shop iPad. I've started using SketchUp Viewer. So not only can I use that little jig and scale, but I can also come in here and load my SketchUp files and view them on the iPad and actually get measurements here. I'm still trying to figure this out, but so these are the pictures. It's kind of cool, right? So I can bring these in, scale them off in here, and then make this kind of tracing, and then take that to the CNC, and that's how I make my patterns. Pretty cool stuff. Gotta love technology. It makes doing these things a lot easier. And I am trying to teach myself Fusion 360, which would make the whole process way more streamlined because, like I said, I could load those 3D images, point clouds, right into Fusion 360. Okay, so I don't want to leave without showing you guys the Argosy. I will say that I am down with COVID right now. I've had it this week. So Robert's basically been working in here on his own, and I tasked him with working on the shower pan. So we've got that figured out, and I'm going to take you in there and show you what he's done so far. Real quick, there are some cabinetries, more cabinets being done, boxes basically. Everything, this is my desk, editing space. Everything up here is drawer stock. So all the drawers for the Argosy, he started knocking out those parts. And it looks like he's got one glued up here and one glued up there. So he's killing it. I'm thankful to have Robert, especially when I'm down. Although I'm feeling a lot better. Okay, real quick. Shower pan, it's in place, kind of set there. It's going to work out great, I think. We're going to fiberglass this in the upcoming video. I'll show you how we got to this process, this point as well. It's kind of cool looking in here, right? Because we went and took the CNC and dished this out so it all drains down to the drain. A few things we'll work on here. So after I fiberglass it, I'll cut out a little notch here so it'll be easy to get in and step in here. And you'll have a little shower. We'll build an enclosure around it and it'll all just kind of slide in there as one big piece. Should work out great. It feels really good to have this part kind of figured out. And a huge thanks to Total Boat. You're going to learn more about that. They're sending all the supplies right now to fiberglass this out. And they're the ones who kind of gave me the runaround on how to do it. We've got boxes in. These are all finished and in place. These just slide right in. Pretty simple. These will get screwed in place. We've got cutouts to make them light. So there's not a lot of material in these. They're pretty light. drop a couple screws in, they're in place, put drawers in them, put a door on the front, and you got really cool cabinets. Same thing here, got this one in as well. I've got a very awesome electric lift for this table build out we're going to be doing after we finish the bathroom. So it'll have a table that drops to the level of the bench and creates a bed. You guys should stay tuned for those videos. I'm hoping the Argosy will be complete in the next 2 to 3 videos. I'm not putting much more content into this because I got to get it done and I'm just worn out. And I think, from what it appears, people are tired of watching it. They're kind of over it. So obviously when I'm done, I'll show a big cool video, reveal video. But as far as everything else, I think people are just kind of over it and I'm pretty worn out on it. Still got a lot of other cool content coming in the shop. Matt Carricker's dining room table. That video is coming very soon. We'll be delivering that next week. And then a whole new build series coming up on a few really cool things. So stay tuned. You'll want to learn more about that. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Don't forget, I got merch. So if you want to support the channel, we got hats and t-shirts and all that cool stuff. I'll link that in the description. Go check it out. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. And we'll see you next time.